Well, thanks for coming out to the range with me. And today we'll be firing three wonderful pieces of gun: a pistol, a shotty, and a rifle. Well, starting with the shotty that I have here in my hand, some of you may recognize this. Some of you may not have a clue. But this is a replica of the 1887 lever action shotgun. The 1887 is really interesting because when John Moses Browning, the inventor of all wonderful modern firearms, was looking at making a shotgun, he was looking at making either a pump or even a semi-automatic, which would become the 1897 and the Browning A5. However, at the time, in the 1880s, Winchester pretty much patented, or pretty much ensured that they owned every little creation that John Moses Browning made. All of the Winchester lines, just about. Any awesome, cool ideas. Browning willfully sold them to Winchester because Winchester was willing to pay a lot of money. However, as time was rolling on, Browning really wanted to make a pump-action shotgun, but Winchester approached him in the mid-1880s and said, "Hey, we want a lever-action shotgun to go with the line, our brand line of fantastic cowboy-action, lever-action rifles. Can you make a shotgun?" Browning said, "No, that's not really going to be feasible. It's going to suck." And Winchester said, "How much money you want?" Browning said, "Okay, I'll do it." And so his design would be this, the 1887. And he wasn't pleased with it, hence why he would go on to make the 97 and later the A5. Now, this is a little finicky. This is a replica by this is pw87. This is a replica from China, I think somewhere in Zhonghu, whatever. And when I first got this, I had to really wear it down, really wear it in. But once you get worn in, it's fantastic. I have had no problems with it other than some ammunition problems, but that's because that's a design issue. The original 1887s were black powder cartridges. However, there was a new version that would come out called the 1902, the model 1902, that Winchester would update to, and that was a hefty beast. That was 10 gauge, and I would love to have one. However, funny enough, a modified model 1902 10 gauge would be used by the hunter in the original Jumanji movie, hunting Robin Williams. He had a really big flash hider on it and like anti-aircraft sights. It was a really cool looking piece. And not to mention, as a side note, he was firing full-length brass 10 gauge, which that would run a pretty penny in ammunition alone. But here we have a really modern, feasible one. I think I picked this one up for about $450. $400, I think. Somewhere, I think it was about $400. Might have been $399. But it was some time ago. And like I said, once I've had this puppy worn in, I really haven't had any issues besides ammunition, because plastic, or this wannabe plastic, when it's fired, it tends to, of course, expand out a little bit. And when you're trying to work the action, there's sometimes not that enough clearance, so you have to really like chuck it a couple times and sometimes assist getting it out. But when it works, it's beautiful. All right, so here I'm going to go ahead and load this puppy up. So what's really cool, if we can see here, come in here a little bit, is that the tube for the ammunition is at the bottom here. The barrel's at the top. But how do I load it? I mean, there's no breeding gate, there's no loading gate down here. There's no loading gate on the side. The only action's through the top. Well, that's the only way. Crank it all the way open. There is an elevator, that's what it's called. Push that down, and now you have access inside to the second bottom tube. So you have to take your cartridge, like so, and with your thumb deep in there. It holds 5 in the tube, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4, that was a little stiffy, 5. And if I try putting the 6th one in, it's not going to go all the way in. It's only going to go about halfway. So what you can do is take that 6th one and put it right there on the elevator. It'll stay right there, ready to load. So you got 6 rounds ready to go. However, you can always put one up the spout. And if I just hold, if I hold it like the gun like this, it's going to fall out. So if I hold it long ways and then get back in there, close the action, there we are. I have 7 rounds in the shotgun ready to go. I got some targets out there. I'm going to go ahead and take a shoot here. Put my ears on. Keep my eyes on. Yeah. Alright. We'll take a shoot. See if I can get this just right so you guys can see some of that action. Alrighty. All the rounds worked flawlessly, and one went flying back in my truck. But very fun, really cool to have, and it's really nifty. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he was in Terminator, had a cut down one. The stock was cut down to here. I think the barrel was cut down a little bit, maybe even 2. But this lever is actually on a spring on this end here. This piece here is on a spring right here. I know he had a larger one to allow him to fully loop that thing around. But yeah, this is an absolute joy to shoot. And as long as you can get the right ammunition, which, by the way, if you're interested in picking one up, I'm using Estati Super Sport Competition target load. And those seem to be working fine. However, I would highly recommend a brand called Suprema. And they made some wonderful buck shot way back in the day. When I say back in the day, I mean like 6 years ago, this being 2020. And I would recommend that. I still have a couple rounds left that I'm holding reserve just in case crap hits the fan. But those worked flawlessly in this, and they were buck, and I love that. But yeah. Oh yeah, once you get a certain distance here, it will just pop open on itself. Hope that's spring-loaded action. My slug holder's falling down a little bit, but never mind about that. It does also have a hammer. Chamber is empty, so it does have a hammer here, so you can let it go or manually cock it yourself. Easy peasy. And I do believe the barrel on this one is 26 inches. 26 inches, yeah. And 2 3/4 shot is what it wants. Can't do 3-inch or anything like that fancy. But yeah, if you got some money blowing around after taxes coming up, I recommend one. I'm gonna move over to the Browning High Power. So this is part 1 of part 3, and I'll catch you on the next one.